Hello, this is Jeff Kresge, Tech Integration Specialist for Jamestown Public Schools. I'm joining Jason Kathman in that role this year, so pretty excited to be with you. What we're going to do in this video is we're going to introduce to you Google Classroom. Understand that Google Classroom looks very different on an iPad than it does on a laptop or a desktop. But we're assuming that most of you are going to be using your desktops to create your Google Classroom, so that's what I'll do as well. Let's get started. We're on the Google home screen, and to find Google Classroom, just simply make sure that you're logged in as you and your JPS account, and you're going to find the Google Classroom icon in the tic-tac-toe board. When you do, click that and Google Classroom will get fired up. So here is your home screen, and on this screen will be all of the classes that you're currently involved in. And I want to show you a couple of things that you can check out on this particular screen. On the left-hand side is your main menu. It shows your classes and your class calendar. It also shows all the classes. And then down at the very bottom, it's very sneaky, they hid the settings for Google Classroom down there. So if there's something that you want to do, if you want to change your email notifications, if you want to change the comments on your posts and in classes that you're enrolled in, etc., that's where you're going to find those settings. Okay, with that out of the way, let's go back to the main screen and we'll go about creating a class. For your students, when they click the plus, they could join your class, but we're going to create one right now. And the way that you do that is simply click the plus in your teacher account. Create class will be an option, and you can name it whatever you like. So we'll call ours Introduction to Google Classroom. You can name your section, you can name your subject, and you can even put your room if you like, but you do not have to. So we're going to go ahead and hit create, and Google's going to run its magic. While Google is doing that, I need to tell you that Google Classroom is locked down for the district, so people from the outside will not be able to get in. So right away, we notice on your home screen that you've got your nice theme here, which you can change by hitting select a theme. You can also upload your own photograph. Right away, we see that there are 4 tabs going across. Students will see 3, Stream, Classwork, and People, but teachers also have grades. You'll also notice here that you have a class code that you can share, and this is one way to have students join. So let's talk about the stream to start. Think of the stream as communication with your classroom. Think of it as a Facebook feed or a Twitter feed. But really what the stream should be used for is communication with your kids. Now, with the stream, you can turn your settings on in such a way that that stream, students can post and comment, is the default. Now, some of you, that will make you nervous that students can post and comment. So you also have some other options. Students can only comment on something that you post, or only teachers can post and comment. You can also show your classwork on the stream, or you can actually hide that altogether. That will tighten your stream up. If you do hide notifications, those classwork pieces won't appear in the stream. It'll just be communication. I actually prefer that, but again, these are options that you'll have to choose. Should you choose to add anything in the stream, very simple, just click communicate with your class. So you can start with a simple hello message, and you can add anything from your drive, any link that you might find on the internet. You can add a file that you already have, or a YouTube video. Once you decide to add things, if you hit this arrow here, you can post it immediately, you can schedule it, or you can save it as a draft if you need to come back to it later. Scheduling it means, and if you click the schedule, you can have it pop up whenever you want to. So if you're a crazy planner and you've got September planned out, but you are really looking for something to do on October 7th, you can certainly set it up for October 7th, and that message will pop up at 8 a.m. So again, if you just wanted to click post, it will go live. And so right now we've got our hello message. You can always go back and edit later on. And something that you also can do is when we've got students in the class and we haven't put them in yet because we just created this, you can have a message go to only certain students, such as, hey, you guys owe this assignment. And then you can click those particular names and just send it out to those kids. Okay, so that's enough on the stream for now. Let's take a look at the Classwork tab. This is where most of the Google Classroom activity will take place. You can go to Google Meet here. You can also check out the class calendar here, and you can also check out the class drive folder here. Take a serious look at creating topics. So let me explain what topics are for a second. You can choose to do your year in units, for example. So if you do Unit 1 or American Revolution, whatever it is that you would use to organize your class, you can create topics, and you can create as many topics as you like, and it really organizes your class. So instead of having a long stream of classwork, you can just have these topics for the students, and it's really easy to toggle back and forth. So if you really just want them working on the American Revolution stuff, all they need to do is click the American Revolution topic, and that's all that they see. You'll also notice it says students can only see topics with published posts. So as we talked about previously, if you schedule your posts or if you take your posts down and unpublish them, they will disappear so that it will keep your classwork nice, neat, and clean and organized for our students, something that they certainly need. So we've created 2 topics here. So you can create as many as you'd like. And what happens is you can move them around. So if you decide, well, I want American Revolution to the top, just simply drag it to the top. So you can move them around in any fashion that you want to. So let's create our first assignment, shall we? An assignment works like this. So you're going to have a title. Task 1, we'll call this. Okay. So we've got our first assignment, and it's important in Google Classroom to remember that most of the Google Classroom work will be asynchronous. So think about how many times in class you say, well, I just explained that. Do yourselves a favor and do your students a favor and try to make your instructions just as clear as possible. So we've got our instructions, and if you'll notice, I try to make them as simple as possible. Open the doc below and respond in the box to the question, what's your favorite sport? Then return to the Google Classroom and hit the Turn In button. So now we need to give the students the Google Doc to work on. So I'll go to Add, and you'll see Google Drive, link, file, or YouTube, or I can create it right there in any of these forms. But I've already created one, so I'm going to go to Add, Google Drive. And if I've just done it, or you just did it, recent is the way to go. So here's that document, and I'll click Insert. Next to the document is a drop-down box. The default is that the students can view the file that you just posted. What we want most often is that you're going to make a copy for each student. If you just allow them to view it, they won't be able to edit that document. And then you're going to have some frustration when they go to try to type on it if that's your expectation. If you set it for them to edit, they will be able to type on it, but so will the other 20 kids in the class, and everybody will be crossing the streams with everybody else. And as we know for Ghostbusters, don't cross the streams. That's an important safety tip. So most often, my guess is that you're going to want the make a copy for each student option. Don't worry. Everybody screws that up. Everybody forgets it from time to time. Now we've got that set up. We've got our document added. We've got our instructions that are very explicit. You can now add it to whichever classes that you want to. So if you've got 3 or 4 different classes going, you can just click the box for I want to add it to that one and that one and that one, but not that one and this one. The default, of course, is that it will go to this one. You can also group your students. If you have 3 different groups, so your high flyers, your middle of the row students, and students who need some more support, you can assign 3 different assignments to that particular group of kids. So if Joey, Susie, and Timmy you want the high flyer group, go right ahead and do that. You can check those boxes. And they would each get that assignment, but the other students wouldn't. That's one way to differentiate. You can also decide how many points. 100 is the default. If you hit the drop-down box, you can do ungraded, but you can also go ahead and type in as many points as you want. It doesn't really matter. You get to pick. For due date, the default is no due date. My guess is that's probably not what you want, and it just pulls up Google Calendar for you to pick. So I'll have it due the 27th. You can choose time optional if you like. You can also assign a topic to this particular piece. Now, this doesn't really fit in any of our topics, so if we wanted to, we could go ahead and create a topic here if we didn't have a topic that fit. But we're going to leave it out because I want to show you what happens when you do that. You can also add a rubric, and you can check for plagiarism. However, just a word of warning, you can only check for plagiarism 3 times. Okay, so now if everything is the way that you want, you go ahead and click Assign. You'll see Task 1. Now, remember, I did not put it under a topic. So American Revolution and Unit 1 do not have assignments. If I remember, oh, geez, I really wanted to do that, you can then go ahead and edit, and then you can put it into a topic if you so choose. We've now created an assignment. The kids have the Google Doc there, and then what they'll do is they'll go ahead and they'll turn it in when they're done. So you'll view the assignment. If you want to see the instructions, there they are. And when the students turn in their work, student work will show up right on this particular page. Okay? So there we are. We've got our document. It's in American Revolution, but again, we can take it out if you want to. So let's do that just so we don't get confused. Great. Okay, so one assignment done, one assignment created. Now that we've created an assignment, I want you to see what it looks like from a student perspective, because I would say a good 30% of the trouble calls that Jason and I received from March to June had to do with editing documents in Google Classroom. So what I did was I invited my son to our class. So here is the introduction to Google Classroom, and he is registered in the class as a student. So we created task 1, and here it is. Please notice that Jackson got his own document because we shared it as each student gets their own copy. So that when Jax opens it up, here's what we want the kids to do, okay? So we want them to go to Classwork. We want them to click View Assignment. And when they're in the assignment view, this is what it looks like on a desktop. I'll show you an iPad in just a second. In a desktop, they can see that it's worth 3 points. There's their instructions. Tell the kids, and this is important, don't write your answer in the class comment box. This is a bad design by Google Classroom, or by Google, because they put the comment box right under the assignment, and a lot of kids think, well, I'll just write the answer in there. That's not where their answer goes. On a desktop or a laptop, their answer comes over here. So the work that the students do, you assign that document, they have to click that document and open it up. So here's how you would go about that. You've given them their document. Here it is. They click it, they open it up, and then on a desktop, they can go in and type in whatever they want. So I happen to know that Jackson's favorite sport is ice hockey, and he would submit that. Now, get your kids in the habit of not turning it in this way. Have them always, always, always go back to their Google Doc in the Google Classroom. So now their work is there. If they want to check it just to make sure, there it is, ice hockey. So they've got it, and we want them to turn it in right here at the Turn In button. So he's going to click Turn In, and that means that you will now have record of Jackson's work. Now let's take a look at what that looks like on an iPad. Okay, so here's what it looks like on an iPad. As you'll see, it's a little bit different. So we're going to get into the Google Classroom. First of all, you'll notice that the tabs are not at the top, but at the bottom on an iPad. So Stream, Classwork, and People are there. We're going to go to that Classwork tab, and there's that assignment. Please notice that he can't see those other 2 topics that we know are there because we don't have assignments in them just yet. So we're going to open up Task 1. And you'll notice it looks a little different again. He's got the assignment there, but we don't see the Google Doc. To get the Google Doc, the students have to go to the bottom of the screen, and there's that caret down there where it says your work. They have to drag with their finger up to the top, and when they do, that'll bring up their document. Here's the really tricky part. The kids want to put the answer in that comments again, but that's not what they do. We need to make sure that they click on, so that document that's highlighted now, they have to click on that document, and then it pulls up this piece. This is where the kids get lost. They want to, if you see in the top right-hand side, a paper with a magnifying glass, a pencil, and an out arrow. They want to hit the pencil so that they can write on the document. My guess is that's not what you want them to do. You want them to type on the document so it's easier for you to read and so that they can save it. So to do that, we need to send them to Google Docs. To get to Google Docs, because we're not there, we're still in Classroom, is they have to hit that arrow in the top right-hand side, the arrow in the box. So I'll hold my finger on it right now. You can see that. That's what they have to hit. When they hit that arrow, not the pencil, it will take them to Google Docs. Now they'll be able to get in that document and they'll be able to edit it. In the bottom right-hand side, you'll see that pencil. To edit that work, the kids hit the pencil, and now they can go in and then they can retype whatever they want. So we're going to ruin my son's life by having him do golf as his favorite sport. So we'll go back to Classroom. Now the students, again, they're in Google Docs. We want them to turn it in Classroom. There's no turn in button here. So in the top left-hand side of the screen, right here, is the word Classroom. We want them to hit the word Classroom, and that will take them back to Classroom. We don't want them to save it from here, so we have to click out of this in an iPad. So we'll click X. That takes them back here, and now, finally, the students can turn their work in by clicking Turn In. Once they click Turn In, hit the Turn In button again, and that way the students will now know, aha, it's been turned in. If they drag that caret to the bottom and go back, task 1 is there, and if they slide back up, it shows unsubmit, meaning that they have turned their work in. And if you look at the screen in the top right-hand side, it says turned in. The kids will know that they've done it. So that's how it looks on iPad and on laptop when you offer an assignment. Okay, so now we're back to the teacher Google Classroom. And so now I'm the teacher, and I see, aha, one of my students, Jackson, has turned in his work. So to see that, we're going to go to View Assignment, and it says right here, Turned In, Jackson Kresge. So I'll click on Jackson's work, and his document comes up, and then I can see what it is that he typed right here. What is your favorite sport? Golf. And because I know he lied to me, I will give him a 0 out of 3 and write private comment, don't lie. And I will send that just to Jackson, and then I will return his work. He'll know he got a 0 out of 3, and he'll know, oh boy, I got that question wrong, and so he'll be in rough shape. Wait till he gets to talk to his father tonight. So that's how you go about grading an assignment. Okay, now let's talk about creating a quiz assignment. So real simple. Give it a title. So we'll go Best Sport. And again, give specific instructions. So answer the question in the form below. You'll notice that Google has already created a blank quiz for us. And so we'll go to that quiz, and this is a whole separate ball of wax. Here's, if we were to quickly do it. So we'll call this Best Sport and Best Sport. And here's our question. We'll give it a multiple choice. And we'll go hockey. And then anything else. And of course, we have to give our answer key, and the answer is, of course, hockey. And so you've just created a quiz. So here's our quiz. Hockey, again, we got to make sure that our answer key is proper. You can assign the number of points that you want and click done, and you've just created your quiz. So go back to Classroom. You've got your blank quiz. You're all ready to go. And again, same thing over here. Decide which classes that it's going to go to. Decide which students that it's going to go to, all as the default. Decide how many points it is. So we said 5 over there, so just to be consistent. Give it a due date, whatever you choose. You can put it under a topic if you like, so we'll drop it under the American Revolution just because. You could give it a rubric, and you can check for plagiarism. You can also, as with any assignment, assign it now, schedule it, or save it as a draft. So we'll assign it right now. There you go. You just created a self-grading quiz so that when the students go there, they'll take that quiz and they'll be launched and ready to rock and roll. Now we're back in our Google Classroom. Let's see what else we could do. Just a question. So this is really good for open-ended discussion. Who was the most important civil rights leader? So if you want to stimulate discussion in your classroom, this is a great way to do that. So you can add documents again, or you can create documents. And again, you can change all of these things just as we could before. So we'll create a topic and we'll go civil rights. And then it'll give you the option students can reply to each other and students can edit their answer. So here's what that looks like when they get going. So when the students see it, they will open that up and it will look like this for them. What's the most important civil rights leader? They type the answer in the answer box, which will be on the top right-hand side of their screen again. And then all of the students' answers will populate right there and they'll be able to see. So that's how you create a question. Great way to stimulate discussion in your class. So another option that we have is just to create materials for your kids. So let's do civil rights photos. Click on the link below and choose 3 photos you like. Now, we're not asking the students to turn anything in with materials. We're simply going to give them materials to look at. We're going to add a link. And I have to decide what link I want them to do. I happen to know that there's a really good Google Civil Rights Photographs option for us. So we'll go to this link. We'll copy that link. And then we'll paste it into the add link there. And then the students will have that as an option. So now we've got 2 things. So who was the most important civil rights leader? We already had. And here's our materials. The kids click on that. It will automatically launch that website. And then they can go through those civil rights photographs and they can choose the one that they think is most influential. So again, we know how to create an assignment, a quiz assignment, a question, and material. We also know how to create topics. So that's everything that you need to know for your classwork section. Let's talk about the People tab. In the People tab, you can add co-teachers if you'd like, and they have all the privileges that you do. So we'll invite Jason because he's only in about 150 of these classes. And now Jason has all of the same privileges that I do. He is my co-teacher. He will not show up until he accepts that invitation. You can also manually add your students if you like. So you can type in their names and give them that invitation, and then Katie would get into the classroom as well. You can also give them the class code, which, if you remember, was right here. And if you want that class code to show up very large, you can just do this. So back to the People tab. Underneath each of the students, you can click the 3 boxes and send them an email if you like. That only works if they're checking their email. And grades, finally. Grades is much, much, much improved over what it used to be in Google Classroom. Unfortunately, it still doesn't link up with PowerSchool, but if you'd like to keep your grades here, you certainly can do that. If we go back again, the stream is for communication. Tell your students to look for classwork in Classwork and really do them a favor by giving them topics. People is to add co-teachers and to students, and Grades tab does grades. That is a quick overview. Remember, be empathetic with your students. This is new for everybody. Work together with them. Remember also that students on iPads and students on laptops, it will look different. So please cover how it is that you expect your students to turn your work in, and remind them always turn it in Google Classroom, not in Docs or Slides or anything like that. If you ever have any questions, please feel free to reach out to your friendly tech integration specialist. That's Jason Kathman or Jeff Kresge, and we'll be with you just as soon as we can. We hope that you have a wonderful and fulfilling 2020 and 2021 academic year. Best of luck to you.